Don't interrupt me, I'm reading. Ugh. You're really noisy. I'll answer one question, but no more bothering me after that. The digital library here is offline. When it needs an update, staff from the management office brings over a dedicated network plugin to do it. No, don't even think you can find a way to contact the outside world from here. Every time some new fish shows up, they ask me the same stupid questions. You people are really getting on my nerves. I'm studying, I'm researching, I'm using my life to read. You're wasting my precious life, and you're keeping me from gaining new knowledge.
Lights out time. Lights out time.
Mr. Rafa, you've only just recovered. Shouldn't you rest a while longer?
Helix Bio's tech has always proven reliable. There's no need to worry. Now tell me your assessment of our diplomatic representative.
The diplomatic representative Hykros sent is green and inexperienced. Now we just have to wait for those most stubborn homecomers to deliver themselves straight into our hands. Right now, I'm worried about Helix Bio.
Joe.
He's not exactly tight-lipped. Rumors about Noah are already spreading.
Even you've heard.
He nearly blurted it out in front of that diplomatic representative today. The way I found out is entirely within the bounds of my normal duties.
Don't worry. I was planning to make Noah and Project Ark public anyway. This won't affect the bigger picture. Are you interested in reading the Project Ark press release?
This is outside my clearance. I'm not authorized to view it.
Any leads on that Bagus who is mentioned in the surveillance footage?
That's the next thing I wanted to report. I've looked into it, and there isn't a single person named Bagus in all of Kailo. I'm not sure what's going on, but I'll be more thorough in the next interrogation.
That won't be necessary. Bagus isn't important.
Do you recognize this person?
One of the passengers killed in the explosion on the space station, an Asperian. I remember him because he boarded with an invitation from Apex. Don't concern yourself with the dead. We have more important matters. At the next interrogation, start by asking what the difference between Shirley and Nemesis is.
Why do we need to ask about that? I know about Shirley, but who is Nemesis?
That humanoid weapon from Ida is called an Angel of Clemency. It employs a unique form of omnium technology. Shirley was merely her name before being modified. Now, she goes by Nemesis. We're studying the manufacturing technology of the Angels of Clemency. It will greatly aid Project Ark, but we still can't break through her subconscious. A door stands in the way, and the answer to the problem is the key.
Understood. I'll handle it right away.
25925. Mr. Nanto, report for interrogation. Proceed to the interrogation room immediately.
Good morning. You're looking pretty good. It seems Brighton Zone's food agrees with you. I don't have that much free time. I'm here to ask you a few questions about Ida. Anchor does think that way, but that doesn't mean I do. I'm not asking for your trust, only that you tell me what's happening on your side. General Veronica of the Hope Fleet is off on a mission. This prison is under my control for the time being. So, you can trust me. Unless you think Asurada, the former head of Apex, is a fool. because I can't bring myself to trust anyone from Hycross. I sat in on 2 of Rafa's meetings with them, and all they did was hype up how perfect things are on their side. It sounds like nothing but overblown propaganda. Fertile soil, perfect climate, abundant resources, cutting-edge technology, and everyone living in peace and prosperity. Do they take us Kylians for fools? Most of the newer Kylians have long forgotten, but I haven't. I've seen the project files for the Kailo space station. Project Ark had to be ready to protect us from the worsening temporal anomalies. The Kailo space station is known as the Ark. It symbolizes a vessel that carries the last Kylian survivors through the apocalypse as we seek new lives and a chance to rebuild our home. Once the disaster has passed, of course. The Ark space station was so far away, yet even it got caught in that massive explosion. You were at Ground Zero. So how? How did you get out unscathed? You've been in the Ore Zero zone for so long, and you've got deep ties with the homecomers. You must think Anchor is oppressing the Kylians and hoarding resources for their own selfish desires. Outrageous, isn't it? And can you really guarantee that Hycross hasn't told so much as a single lie? Is the land of Ida really that great? I betrayed Asurada to make my own life easier. That hasn't changed. We're still in Ida, and I'll make my own decisions. You're still not being honest. Why don't we talk about your dear friend Shirley? The only person who accompanied you to Kailo turned out to be a victim of a temporal anomaly. So, you still haven't escaped the temporal anomaly, have you? In her memories, the scenes of it are truly horrifying. We haven't done anything to her. We're doing everything we can to heal Nemesis. The space-time turbulence sent her system into chaos, so we had no choice but to intervene in her brain. I've already told you. We're healing Nemesis, not Shirley. Are the two of them completely the same to you? Frozen body, eyes drained of all life. I call her Nemesis, but you insist on calling her Shirley. Tell me, what's the difference between them in your eyes? Can you not stand that machine body of hers? Void Piercer.
My brain's practically fried after a whole night in the dream house. I'm sorry. When you discovered the nutrient solution had been put in backwards, I panicked. I was worried you'd figure out it was me, and I ended up knocking over my own reagent. It was all my own doing. Don't worry. I swear I won't set you up this time. How did you figure that out? No telling anyone about this, okay? You have to keep it a secret. Deal. The Dream House is actually a specialized brain interface. Back when the Ida explosion hit, the space station got blown to pieces, and its AI, Noah, went down for good. Back then, an AI researcher suggested taking the passengers in the stasis pods who couldn't wake up and using them to form an AI server. That way, Noah could be repaired as quickly as possible. With human brains, the Dream House's brain interface prototype was developed back then. Apparently, it can siphon off a person's consciousness data and store it on a temporary drive for safekeeping. The vacant brains were then linked together, allowing the AI to slip in and harness their neural power. That's what kept the space station alive during its most perilous phase. To be honest, I don't really get it either. Either way, once you're in there, you can see all kinds of things, bits and pieces from every corner of Kailo. But when you wake up, you can hardly remember anything. Based on my experience repairing spaceship systems, I'd say it's the information channel everyone's consciousness passes through when it's sent out or pulled back in. The books say that back in the day, cities had busy roads. You're just like one of the cars on those roads, and plenty of others are driving from here, there, and everywhere. You're pretty sharp. Brighton Prison has a complex history. In the beginning, it was built by Anchor Infinity to lock up people who stood against them. Later, the Hope Fleet seized control. Later, when Anchor Infinity realized some prisoners had information they wanted, they cut a deal with the Hope Fleet and brought in this brain interface to dig through people's memories. Once Kailo was up and running, Lana's computing power still wasn't enough, so Anchor Infinity started using the machine to tap into prisoners' brains. Using that excuse, they took back control of the prison again. Hey, I'm not finished. What's with that I see? This brain interface has adjustable power settings. Crank them up too high, and it'll damage the brain, causing all kinds of issues. Even death. Veronica, the general of the Hope Fleet, has despised Anchor Infinity for quite some time. She once captured a senior Anchor Infinity executive and planned to subject him to a thorough interrogation. Anchor Infinity used the brain interface to fry that person's brain overnight. The usually mild-mannered General Veronica was so furious that she smashed a cup and stayed up all night setting up a compliance investigation committee for the prison. I know what you're thinking. Anchor Infinity just sent Veronica off on a long-range expedition. It's only natural they're using her absence to try and retake control of the prison. That's why Nanto's been coming and going non-stop lately. Under the last general, things were more or less like that. But ever since Veronica took over, she's given Anchor Infinity one hell of a headache. Yeah, basically, but it depends on the person. That machine and I don't get along. Most people are just a little drowsy after a night inside it, but my brain aches for ages before I'm back to normal. The brain interface's power was only reduced because of that showdown between General Veronica and Anchor Infinity. People don't die as easily now, but it still does quite a bit of damage. What are you thinking? Don't go poking around just because you're curious. That thing might not kill people anymore, but if you're unlucky, 2 or 3 runs can still fry your brain. They'll run some tests. If they decide your brain's permanently shot, they'll take you away. Anchor Infinity doesn't tolerate deadweights. Are you nuts? People go through rigorous testing before they're let go. No one can fool Lana.
Prisoner 25925 for damaging a test tube and wasting nutrient solution. You are sentenced to 1 night in the brain interface room.
I built this space just for you. Lana can't listen to us in here. I gotta hand it to you. You're pretty sharp, reaching me through Shirley at a time like this. I snuck a look at some surveillance footage from the Brighton zone. You're awfully obedient. Whatever they tell you to do, just do it. Who would have thought Hycrose's diplomatic representative was such a pushover? Those Kailians are trying to figure out how Shirley's consciousness can control a body modified by the heirs of Ida, so they've kept her hooked up to a brain interface for study. Shirley survived the temporal anomalies and the Angels of Clemency's modifications. After wandering inside Gestos with me for so long, there's no way Lana alone can unlock her subconscious. Relax. They wouldn't dare harm her. She's way too valuable for that. I was going to rescue her, but I realized Lana had allocated more than half of her computational power to analyzing Shirley. I've only diverted a small portion of my computational power here for now. After all, this is Lana's turf. If I rushed to rescue Shirley, I'd definitely draw her attention, so I decided to come find you first. I only made it here because Gestos is a hyperdimensional quantum supercomputer enhanced by Omnium technology, and also because Shirley is here. Shirley is my anchor point. Without her, I never would have made it through the space-time turbulence. Of course, it's like an impenetrable electronic fog to me. Shirley is like a beacon, and only by following her light can I reach Kailo. There's plenty of time to talk about all that later. For now, let me tell you how I can help. That depends on how Lana distributes her computational power. The less she assigns to one place, the more actions I can take. She's devoted very little to this prison. All the video footage, droid logs, and prisoner activity data are merely stored here without being analyzed. That's how I managed to create a containment field to isolate Lana. Oh, if you need my full support, I can also use Gestos to block Lana's access to the entire Kailo space station, but it won't last very long. Lana's server isn't a hyperdimensional computer, so I have an advantage there. The problem is the space-time turbulence. Passing through it severely drains my computing power. I've only just arrived and haven't had time to properly assess Lana's processing capacity. If you need it, give me a couple of days so I can get a clear grasp of what she's capable of first. Got it. I'll handle the medical records. For now, just rest here. I've already blocked the brain interface that was tapping into your consciousness. No need to thank me. Once you're out, we'll rescue Shirley, and I'll help you beat up Lana and Rafa.
Mr. Rafa, our diplomatic representative mistakenly entered the brain interface room today.
They had the honor of supporting Kailo and Lana, if only a little. They've been locked up as a fraudster, but they're still the first genuine visitor from Ida so far. Aren't you even a little curious about the place?
Humanity has a long history, but the same stories play out in different places. After all, everyone is human in the end. The Idans are just like us. They're human too. The homecomers believe that as soon as they go back, they'll be welcomed with open arms, convinced that Ida is of one mind with them, as close as family. But is the world really that ideal? I don't think so.
Tell me what you think, then.
Hykros never promised the Kailians any special treatment for returning to Ida. They're dealing with us because they want to construct another Tower of Fantasy and compete for the limited resources we have here. Our dealings with Hykros are no different. It's purely about finding ways to profit from them. Ida certainly has fertile ground and is worth the effort for Kailo, but Hykros is not a partner we can trust. The more genuine a diplomatic representative is, the more dangerous they are.
Your theory is rational, and very similar to Lana's calculations. Boost the output in the brain interface room. The diplomatic representative's physiology is unusual, so normal power probably won't be enough to bring their brain online.
Agreed.
Also, Lana's been updating the servers these past few months, so computing power is a bit short right now. Go gather the diplomatic representative's movements and statements in Kailo, and see if there's anything useful. Her last answers were of no use to Shirley whatsoever. Either we were lied to, or they were simply wrong.
I'll get right on it.
Lincoln said you screwed up yesterday and got sent to the brain interface room? You actually look fine. You must be tougher than I thought. Oh, really? Well, all right then. But barely anyone in this prison comes out of the brain interface room with their mind intact. Especially the new fish. After their first time in there, most of them can't even remember their own names. Mealtime's over. See ya. What? Miss me already? Why are you suddenly bringing this up? What makes you think I'd help you? So, how do you want me to help? You're a smart one, and I like working with smart ones. You guessed right. My family has some influence in the Brighton zone, so even after rubbing Anchor Infinity the wrong way, I can still expect pretty decent treatment around here. As for Nanto, I do know a few things you won't discover in the reading room. Whether they're useful to you or not, that's for you to decide. Why are you so hung up on that name? I promise I'll think about it. But right now, I really can't remember where I've heard it. Brighton's prison control has bounced back and forth between Anchor Infinity and the Hope Fleet a few times. But no matter who's running the place, there are 2 inmates who've never been hooked up to the brain interface. 30637, an old man whose real name no one knows, and Steven. As far as I know, Nanto is the one protecting them. 30637 actually went through a brain interface interrogation back in the day. But he was a tough nut to crack. The machine couldn't access his subconscious. After he joined Anchor Infinity, Nanto interrogated 30637 and supposedly pried a trove of vital intel from him. With that, Nanto cut a deal with 30637, guaranteeing he'll never be put in the brain interface again. Steven is even more perplexing. He was framed and taken in because of his role as a specially appointed Apex scholar researching Iden history. Also, there were suspicions that he leaned toward the homecomers. As soon as Steven was jailed, Nanto saw to it that he got special treatment. No sessions in the brain interface, and no hard labor. Back then, Nanto was already Rafa's trusted confidant, and whoever happened to be running the prison was happy to grant him that courtesy. It seems we have different views on this. He's keeping a secret. A colossal one that might be tied to Bagus. The very person you've been chasing so relentlessly. And those 2 he's singled out for protection, they're your lead. There's nothing we can do about it here. I asked Steven ages ago, but even he doesn't know why Nanto treats him so differently. As for 30637, he's too old and his mind has long since deteriorated. You won't get anything out of him. Unless you can find someone who knew him before he went to prison. Didn't you say that even locked up here in Brighton prison, you could still cause trouble for Anchor Infinity? I'm sure you can handle this. All this talking's making me thirsty. Let's go.
Hey, how you holding up? That night in the dream house must have been rough. Yikes. You were pretty careless. I found out over breakfast that Laurent and Lelouch were cremated last night. Yeah, based on how I felt last time, they've definitely cranked up the brain interface power recently. Look, my hands are still shaking. If I had to go in again, I'd be dead for sure. Of course I will, but we're in Brighton prison now. Our lives aren't our own. Last year, when Lana's servers were being updated and computing power was scarce, Anchor Infinity came up with all sorts of excuses to throw people in prison and put them through brain interface interrogations. But it was really just to boost Lana's computing power. Tons of people died back then. And even if they didn't, they ended up basically brain dead. If I ever ended up like that, I'd be better off dead. I'm betting that's how old Han's brain was fried. I don't get why they never let him out. True. You're in way better shape than I am. Everyone who went in with you is dead, but you've still got plenty of fight left in you. I wish I was more like you. Yeah, true. Hey, do you lie on it differently or something? Why are you affected so little?
I sent him away so we could talk. Because I'm good at reading people. One look at you tells me you're the restless type. You're never going to rot in this prison, so you're not about to sit around with idiots like Barbara. Don't you want to know why Laurent died so soon? Allow me to explain. Just before the third eradication operation, on the day Lola Hans died, Nanto secretly sent Laurent to warn her, so that Wednesday could avoid the operation. But Laurent, driven by selfish ambition, murdered Lola Hans and pinned it on the Hope Fleet, igniting a conflict between the pirates and Anchor Infinity in the hope of profiting from the chaos. It wasn't just once. It was over and over. Long before Laurent ever left Wednesday, the two were already in touch. Wednesday is still around mostly because of his help. That's right. But don't go thinking he's a good guy. Anchor Infinity just wants the pirates and the Hope Fleet at each other's throats forever. Whenever one side starts to crumble, they prop it back up. To Nanto, Laurent was nothing but a useful lapdog. If he ever dared to disobey, his master would put him down and get a new one. Things are different now. It wasn't until I landed in prison that Laurent told me everything. I can stomach being a heinous pirate, but I'll never be some lapdog you can tease with a dangling bone. Laurent got exactly what he deserved, and I'm happy about it. But Nanto still hasn't had his reckoning, and I've never despised anyone more in my life. If you really are from Ada, you won't be stuck here for long. I'm afraid Nanto will have me wired into the brain interface tonight just for telling you all this. I have just one favor to ask. Smash that smug, snobby-looking face of Nanto's to a bloody pulp for me. It's almost lights out. I hope you can grant me my final wish.
All recordings related to Prisoner 25925 from Odin's Tavern are here for you to review.
Good. By the way, Prisoner 25925 didn't go to the brain interface room today, right?
Negative.
Tomorrow, find a way to put Prisoner 25925 in there, and raise the power output by 30%. As for that Scorpion, send her to the brain interface room tonight. Max out the power. Same as for Laurent.
Affirmative.
Is General Veronica's expedition still going smoothly?
I am not authorized to initiate communications with General Veronica.
Hasn't Lana been operating in the prison lately?
You are not authorized to access information about Lana's operations.
Adi, this is Grey Fox.
Please input password.
Slug and Boss Lady.
Hello, Mr. Nanto. Long time no see. This is Adi. How can I assist you?
Your presence here confirms my suspicions. Lana did indeed divert the computing power that was meant for Brighton Prison.
Currently, only the standard surveillance systems at Brighton Prison are functioning properly. Lana's computing power hasn't been deployed in the prison, and the power is down to just 50% of its former level across the Brighton zone.
A simple server update couldn't have caused these anomalies. It seems Mr. Ruff is determined to dig into Shirley's technological secrets.
The computing power concentrated at Shirley's location is still insufficient to make up for the deficit across the Brighton zone. Some of the remaining capacity has simply vanished. It seems to have been siphoned into an encrypted server somewhere. Based on our current intel, the encrypted server could serve one of three purposes. 1. Evolving a new Lana model. 2. Supporting a new large-scale construction project.
It must be that new secret project arc. I'll begin investigating through Helix Bio later. Maybe I can locate her.
Is there anything you need from me?
Baggis, do you have any news?
The Master remains silent.
Now that's strange. How did Hykros' diplomatic representative and our Baggis become enemies? Guess we'll have to ask. Some things aren't meant to be known by too many people. From now on, I ask, you answer. Don't test my patience. Do you intend to see Baggis dead? Still playing dumb. I've already checked every record in Lana's surveillance system related to you, and heard every word you've ever said in Odin's Tavern. You said Baggis hurt your friend, and you won't let him get away with it. I'm curious. When did that happen? And how did he do it? Was it in Kailo? Or on your end. Gestos? What is he using Gestos for? Yes, that's just like him. What he did was right. Whatever Bagus does, he must have his reasons. He owes me no explanation. My duty is to eliminate any future threats on his behalf. Since you want Bagus dead, it's only natural that I take care of you. Still mouthing off, huh? I hear you've been enjoying your naps in the brain interface room lately. So today, I'll make sure you have very sweet dreams. Inmates die from brain interface power anomalies all the time. If that's how you kick the bucket, at least I'll have an excuse for Rafa and Veronica. Source code? Data source? Don't tell me the key Rafa's after is hidden in your head. Crafty Hycros. Are you so afraid I'll crank up the power and kill you that you're making up some source code in an attempt to blackmail me? You Hycros people are despicable. Always preaching about unity with the Kailians, yet all you really want is to exploit Kailo's resources and technology. Don't worry. I'm not actually going to kill you. I still need you to help the Kailians return to Ida, so the worst that'll happen is you become a Hycros representative who obeys my every command. I've already told you. On this matter, Anchor Infinity and I don't see eye to eye. Rafa's lost his wits. He can't see past his own nose. Instead of clinging to the current status quo and keeping the Kailians penned in, he should be thinking about how to replace Hycros in Ida. At the end of the day, they're just a bunch of scientists. What abilities or insights could they possibly have? As long as we humor them for now, Anchor Infinity can move to Ida later on. If we stay patient for a while, the faction that ultimately calls the shots in Ida will be anyone's guess. Of course, Rafa certainly won't live to see that day. Head to the brain interface room and think it through at your leisure. Honestly, I still can't tell whether you're an idiot or a genius. I hope you'll make up your mind soon, given your role and current circumstances. If you're willing to return to Ida and lend me your support, the CEO position at Anchor Infinity's Asperia branch could one day be yours.
Why didn't you show up yesterday? Do you have any idea how long I waited for you? I've already mapped out the prison, and you were just outside chatting? We might already be too late. After I reported to Hycros, they discovered that before you arrived in the Brighton zone, Kailo unilaterally shut down all channels of communication with Hycros, including the passage you used to get here. Plotty's already working on a solution. Her dad gave me a good scolding and said she misjudged Rafa, which got you locked up. She's really sorry. Maybe we should wait for Plotty. Otherwise, if we break out now, you'll still be stuck in Kailo. Is Bagus somehow linked to Anchor Infinity? But when I contacted Shirley, I couldn't find anything. All it's doing is using more computing power. He shut down the channel to keep you from contacting Hycros. But if he thinks he can cut us off completely, he can think again. She thinks Rafa's actions prove he's downright terrified of Hycros arriving. She insists you find a way to escape, then get in touch with Hycros. She did say she was sending someone, but the passage is closed now, and we have no idea when help will arrive. Right now, I'm the only one who can travel back and forth. I'm sorry, but there's no one else who can help you. She barely has any computing power to tap into right now. The missing capacity seems to have been swallowed by a patch of space-time turbulence. I'm guessing she's working on some big plan that demands a lot of computing power. She's confident that Brighton prison is escape-proof. It's wrapped in space-time turbulence, after all. There's still very little computing power allocated here, so for now, our jailbreak plan should be foolproof. I wanted to help you give Lindsys and the others a heads up, but every frequency linked to the Hope Fleet is under strict surveillance. Even a single message to Lindsys could catch Lana's eye if Hipper picks it up. Our plan has to succeed. Only after you're safe can we plan our next move. Then get some rest for now. I'll keep an eye on Shirley. Lana's been dedicating more and more computing power to her, so all I can do now is watch. I don't dare speak to her anymore.
I've just remembered something about that guy you've been asking about, Bagus. Are you sure his name is Bagus? As I said before, my mom got to know the Todd siblings through work and ended up designing the first bar counter at Odin's Tavern. Don't underestimate this job. Miss Aglaya's requirements were very particular. She wanted to create a place where people could experience civilization and comfort, even in the barren reaches of outer space. But resources were scarce at the time. To come up with the most cost-effective plan, my mom pored over every tavern-related document she could find and even interviewed a bunch of people, Miss Aglaya included. Why do you get so worked up when I bring him up? Be patient. My mom never met him, but Miss Aglaya mentioned him. Miss Aglaya regularly visited Odin's Tavern back when she was in Asperia, and its owner was a man named Bagus. She was actually on quite friendly terms with him. Yeah, supposedly Bagus had lots of connections back then, and because of his relationship with Miss Aglaya, Apex sent him an invitation to the space station. That's how he ended up on board. Well, unfortunately, his stasis pod was severely damaged in the explosion, and he didn't survive. My mom thinks Aglaea's plan to build Odin's tavern was also a way of honoring her friend from another generation. Why have you suddenly gone silent? I finally remembered and that's your reaction? Impossible. Too many of the stasis pods on the early station were damaged. And with the power shortage, there was no way to rescue anyone. If a pod was compromised, there's no way its occupant could have survived until now. So, I think you might be looking for the wrong person.
Lana's definitely pushing another update. This morning in the cafeteria, they said I was stacking the trays at the wrong angle. And once I'm done with my shift, I have to report to the brain interface room for punishment. Scorpion and Angel were hauled in last night, and they were already dead this morning. If I go in, I'm as good as dead. Is there anything you can do? Please, you have to save me. They've cranked the brain interface power way too high. If you don't help me, I'll die. You survived 2 whole nights. There has to be a way. Why won't you tell me?
Prisoner 11667, causing a loud disturbance and interfering with others' work. Punishment 1 night in the brain interface room.
I'm finished. I'll never get out. No, I can finally get out.
Prisoner 25925, disrupting prison management operations. Punishment 1 night in the brain interface room.
I've pulled the inmates' medical records from the past few days and made a few tweaks. With Lana's current computing power, there's no way she'll spot the inconsistencies. First, we'll forge your life readings. The system's monitoring you in real time. One jolt will knock you out, send your heart into arrhythmia, and stop it altogether. Don't worry, I'll control the voltage precisely. You'll pull through.
"25925's faking it. They've definitely figured out how to deal with the brain interface.
Are you sure?
Definitely. Ever since the brain interface's power was boosted these past few days, everyone else has died. They were hooked up for 2 of the last 3 days and walked away unscathed. That's impossible.
Are you saying a fraudster in Brighton prison has found a way to evade Lana?
I know it sounds far-fetched, but what if it's some kind of special trait? That would make them incredibly valuable for Helix Bio's research. I've just handed over vital intel. Please, don't put me in the brain interface again.
I'll verify it. If the facts are indeed as you say, then I'll spare your life.
I swear, there's definitely something wrong with 25925. If you don't believe me, then go check right now.
I hope you're right.
Heartbeat has returned to normal. Vital signs are stable, but consciousness remains impaired.
Run a brain diagnostic. If it's not viable for brain interface extraction, follow standard protocol.
Affirmative.
All vitals are below normal. Stop resuscitation. Power down the machines, complete the paperwork, and call Helix Bio to reclaim the body.
Affirmative.
Grab the communicator on the table. I'll guide you. Nanto's here.